The CEO of free market Twitter and his propagandistic minions have the right to allow or disallow anyone they choose to post on their privately owned platform. And that is true. You and they, see that care with pronouns, have that right, but have also clearly accepted a commensurate, although more implicit responsibility.
It's so sad. I've never seen anyone go to these lengths to try and justify your Twitter addiction. I mean, we're all addicted, my dude, I get it. You're just like, you're more addicted to being a transphobe than you are to posting. Sometimes it goes back and forth. Sometimes like, I need to get back in. All right, fine, I'll delete the tweet, but I need to save face. It's coming back. Oh, this is gonna take some recapping if you haven't been following the fucking Jordan Peterson saga that never ends. Alright, Cole's notes. Jordan Peterson makes a tweet about the Sports Illustrated model. Says, would not smash. Jordan Peterson does not want to have sex with the Sports Illustrated model, but also wants the world to know, and also thinks that it's authoritarianism, that he is being forced to even think about it and contemplate it. That alone is authoritarian. A lot of people make fun of him, including his own community. She was objectively attractive, and they were just like, I don't get it, Jordan. Why are you choosing this as hills to die on? Anyways, he gets mocked for that. He then comes back and starts choosing his new crusade, which is to go after Elliot Page and to misgender him as much as possible along the process, and say horrifying things, and pretend as if he has any right to talk about who should intervene in someone's medical decisions, especially the medical decisions of an adult. Super weird stuff. Kind of bizarre. Then he makes a, well, then he gets locked out of his account, and then he makes the Red Skull video, where he's just like, up yours, woke moralists, we'll see who cancels who. I will sooner die than remove that tweet. I will never delete it. I will die before I do that. Turns out he's a poster, like the rest of us, could not resist, comes back, deletes the tweet, and then unlocks his account. When he unlocks his account, he then has to come out and make a statement saying, I only logged in because obviously there was some details I needed to handle some things, but I said I would sooner die than delete the tweet, so here it is again. And then post the tweet a second time. A picture of it this time. He thought he found a loophole. So make no mistake, he said he would die before he deleted the tweet, but he's a poster, deleted the tweet, couldn't resist, got back in, and then tried to save face by posting the tweet itself again, screenshot of it, and then got locked out again. Obviously, because it's a fucking horrifyingly transphobic tweet, and that's basically, I think, a catch-up to where we are today.
Message to Parag Agrawal, CEO of Twitter. Dear Mr. Agrawal, I wrote this when it was literally 2 in the morning.
This is... Well, great start. I'm sure you're going to be at your best. Definitely when you have high clarity and, you know, you've had some time to think about this, and you've been a bad boy, so you need to bit and think about what you've done. Sleep on it, my dude. Just go to bed, wake up in the morning, have a little fun, hang out with your wife, your kids, enjoy yourself. You don't need to write a 2 a.m. fucking anti-fucking... Oh, man.
During my recent visit to beautiful Samos, Greece, where I was on business attending to my efforts on the educational front, I woke up suddenly from my slumbers with you and your company on my mind in my jet-lagged state, unable to drowse further, and so I sat there writing instead of sleeping, which the more cautious and sensible part of me wished devoutly I was able to do instead. A few weeks ago, the wise folks at Twitter deemed it necessary to suspend my access to that platform, despite the fact that I had several million followers, despite the fact that I had used the platform in good faith, despite...
No, you didn't. The TOS was very clear. In fact, it was so clear you got another opportunity. You got a 2-timer. They were like, we're not going to delete your account, because you do have a lot of followers, but you're not acting in good faith. You're breaking TOS. You are definitely intentionally misgendering someone. You're also inserting yourself into someone else's medical procedures. That's just weird, but that's not entirely TOS. But you're leaning really hard into the transphobia. So you get another chance. You've been a bad boy, but you could just be a good boy. Delete the tweet. You get back in, and you did that. You did the very thing that they asked of you, and you were back in.
The fact that I had put in the years of time and effort necessary to gain such an extensive following, despite the fact, as well, that I was a genuine force on Twitter, trending with a rather appalling and frightening degree of regularity.
Motherfucker just said he was a genuine force on Twitter. No one before me. Many bowed before my might. I was a genuine force. They rued the day. The day was removed. A force was removed.
In many ways, I'm your monster, sir. The reason for the suspension? It's not exactly clear. Because
oh, it is. It's
very
crystal.
little is exactly clear, Mr. Agrawal, with regard to your social media network. Apart from the fact that...
In fact, it's so clear that you did the very steps that were asked of you, and you unlocked your account, and you were allowed back in. So it's like, it's as clear as day. You followed the procedure and unlocked your account. You've already done that. But then you couldn't help yourself. You wanted to save face, so you had to post the tweet again.
You allow an awful lot of misbehavior. What with the appalling proliferation of anonymous and near-demonic trolls and bots, and professional manipulation of the public space by actors such as the Russian and Chinese governments, and the proclivity of your own people to censor only those voices they don't agree with politically. The tweet that brought about my suspension was one directed, for better or worse, at the actress/actor Ellen, now Elliot Page, who I criticized, along with his or her physician.
He's still doing it. It's so much more work. You should fucking not see Nick Fuentes. You can see, like, he's like, you know, it's kind of hard because, like, yeah, he looks like a woman. I mean, I wanna misgender him, but it doesn't make sense. Or like fucking Ben Shapiro is just like, that's why I would never call he. I mean he, she. Oh God, I've done it. Ugh, why would I do this? This is so much more work to be bigots. You fucking. Well, I mean, he did write this at 2 a.m., so he's got a script he can go off. It doesn't matter if it's he, she, he, they, or...
For publicly trumpeting and publicizing the decision to have her perfectly functional breasts removed in the attempt to switch.
So much about his breasts. It's so weird. You are such a weird old man. You are obsessed with his breasts and his abs, I might add. Like, he actually came, it's also embarrassing. He came out and gave like a podcast where he's like, oh, you know, yeah, with Kyle Kalinske. When he was debating Kyle Kalinske, he was just straight up like, I was going to leave this one alone. But then, of course, I saw that cover with the abs. I just saw those beautiful, rippling abs before me. And I said, no, fuck you. Fuck you. I will not submit. I will not admit that they are delicious. I won't.
Sexes, which decision was up to him or her, and appropriately I at least half suppose, but which also served as a much publicized, more than 1.5 million Instagram likes, model for...
Hey, by the way, he's kind of changed his rhetoric a little bit. I think he's realized he leaned way too hard into this at the start, and even people who are kind of like, you know, libertarian or like, you know, I'm not a transphobe, but that crowd was just like, this is a grown-ass adult. I mean, would you say this about any other adult's elective surgery? Even if you don't enjoy the elective surgery, like, would you be really mad if a woman got breast implants because she wanted larger breasts? Would you be like, well, this is just a mutilating surgeon in that case? Like, this one's weird, my dude, all right? You're really leaning hard into this one.
Confused adolescents who might be considering, in their juvenile confusion, walking down the same direly and irreversibly damaging road. I don't think for a moment that it was even the criticism per se that resulted in my ban, but my use of Ellen's original name, a practice which the exceptionally active, yet exceptionally tiny and noisy and endlessly troublesome trans activist so-called community.
Honestly, I don't know a lot of people outside of the right-wing bigots who have trouble with this, like, at all. Like, you don't have any trouble with nicknames. I've seen you use them. You don't have any trouble with someone whose name is slightly different than what it used to be. I mean, you know, have you ever called someone Dick instead of Richard? Have you ever done that? I've like, the idea of someone with a different name and you just can't, you're beside yourself. It's just like, I can't stop. I cannot stop. I will never say, I'll never say Elliot. Never. Over my dead body. Has
decided to term dead naming, and which has, in consequence, become, by their anarchic and presumptuous fiat, the modern equivalent of a mortal sin. But I don't know, do I? Because your idiot policies of arbitrary exclusion are unbelievably and appallingly ill-defined. Thus, I'm not...
Okay, here's one point I could agree with the good professor on. Yes, the TOS, not in that they're not well defined, they're very clearly defined. It's how they're enforced. That is true. There are certain people who seem to get incredible passes when it comes to this. Libs of TikTok, Matt Walsh definitely come to mind. I mean, the two of them could run these campaigns that result in children's hospitals actually getting bomb threats, which you would think would be something that, you know, is pretty clear in the TOS about harassment campaigns, stalking, that kind of stuff. But yet they are allowed to continue doing what they're doing. So It is certainly not enforced equally. But in terms of you being confused, no. This one is so clear that you've already gone through the process of understanding it. We know you know, because you deleted the tweet to get your account back. You can't even say that, like, it's kind of hard, ill-defined rules. It's strange the way this Twitter works, you know?
Granted the opportunity to face my accuser or accusers. Is there just one? Are there many? Who are they exactly? Are they inside or outside of Twitter? Why have they been granted this decision-making power? And
they haven't. There's a flagging button. Did you really not have someone who can teach you how this works? You should probably get, like, I don't know, internet understander as someone. Anyways, so yeah, random people can flag what they deem to be tweets that are offensive. There's not an initial human arbitration of it because it would just be too large in scale, so they rely heavily on AI. That's what Jack Dorsey ended up saying when he was being interviewed by Tim Pool and Joe Rogan. Heavily with AI at first, and there's probably for people with accounts as large as yours, an actual human arbitration that can make a final judgment or intercede near the end of a decision, and or perhaps give you a sense or a chance to do some recourse, because again, you did get a chance to get back in on the platform.
I continue not to know, even though I followed your equally ill-defined and parameterized appeal process with regard to this censorious and judgmental action, undertaken in the shadowy background of your equally shadowy company, as I have yet to hear anything at all from the powers that be at Twitter on that appeal front.
The fucking ego of this dude. Do you understand what you are asking for out loud right now? Do you understand the fucking mechanics necessary to provide individual reporting to literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions and millions and millions of users? Like millions of people, if they had the ability to suddenly be like, well, I need to know who flagged my account and why. Like, would it mean anything to you? If you saw Dolphin Penis 2950 had flagged you, would that be something that you're like, oh, no, I knew it. I knew they were coming after me. Fucking Dolphin Penis 2950. They had it out for me for a long time. Like, it would just be a bunch of random names on the internet. Most of them probably wouldn't even be larger accounts. They would just be smaller accounts that had flagged you. And they don't owe you anything. It's a private company.
But I know absolutely that you know personally of my suspension, and that you have been questioned about that, because I have been told by a very good and exceedingly influential friend of mine who spoke directly to you very recently.
He always name drops these important people. Hey, by the way, I've been talking to a lot of high-level members of different governments around the world, and they've informed me a lot in the direction that this is not where they want to see the world go. I'm like, well, okay, let's hear some names, Jordan. And in this case, they probably do. I'm not putting it past you. You are a very popular right-wing conservative figure. You are also probably one of the more prominent active transphobes working today, so there's probably a little bit of a concern about your operation on this website and what damage it could or could not do. The thing is, if they wanted to just outright censor you and nuke your account, they could have done that. They instead were just giving you opportunities like they've given a lot of prominent right-wing conservatives, where it's just like, you just got to delete the transphobic tweet. That's all you got to do. And then you can get right back on the platform, do what you got to do. Please follow the rules. That's all there is to it.
That he asked you just exactly what in hell you were thinking when you banned me. And I also have heard that an equally or even more influential person, with whom you have also recently had very public dealings, which did not turn out well for your company, has raised exactly the same concerns. And I also know that your demented and presumptuous minions have their eagle eye on my account, or that a coterie of influential activists is monitoring my online behavior on Twitter assiduously.
Yeah, that's not something you need a company or conspiracy to do, Jordan. There's a lot of people who hate you. You're a very prominent transphobe. There's a lot of people who disagree with the things that say. You're a very prominent misogynist as well. So you've pissed a lot of people off. There's most likely a lot of people who want to clown on you. I was in that camp before you blocked me. Like, as soon as you would make a post, I'd be like, this is ridiculous. I'm going to respond because you're such a fucking loser. I can't wait to do something funny. And then I made that picture of you shooting apple cider because you thought you were a big man with a gun at the range. But then that was too much for you and you blocked me. You censored me. You 1984'd me. Now I have no rights anymore. I can't respond to your posts. I can't even see them unless I go in incognito mode. And yeah, and I happen to know, on good authority, that you did that intentionally and maliciously. That you chose to block me. That's right. And I also happen to know that someone who may trade horses for hand jobs at his place of business and loves to impregnate his female subordinates, may also have some concerns about your website. I know these things, both of these things.
Despite my banning. How exactly have I come by this information?
Oh?
Well, 2 days ago, I deleted the Ellen Page tweet Why? When I said quite publicly that I would rather die than do so. Well, I needed to do some house cleaning on my account in relationship to some other tweets I had posted many months ago. A relatively minor matter, but one that became a somewhat pressing practical necessity. Afterward, I reposted a screenshot of the page tweet, stating that I was obliged to do so as I had given my word that I would not delete it, despite my suspension and the attempt at public shaming that suspension hypothetically
Do I still have the meme? Oh yeah, I could probably find it.
constituted. And bingo! Within hours,
Bingo.
I was banned again. So your staff can act pretty damn fast when it comes to registering and reacting to my hypothetical misbehavior, but are
Again, it's AI that does it at first. And what did you think was going to happen? You reposted the exact tweet that got you banned from the website. This isn't fucking rocket science. It's not a conspiracy. This is one of the dumbest things I've heard someone try to turn into a cause. It's the same as this first time, right after you got banned for something that was so blatantly transphobic. And then afterwards you had to make a whole video. It was like, up yours, welcome moralists. We'll see who cancels her if you're trying to get me to say he, she, they, he's, her, how you see. Like, obviously, this stuff, like, I think you are genuinely going to start bleeding fucking fans if you keep doing this, because this is such a, like, it's a sad fight. It's like the Sports Illustrated fight. These are both incredibly sad. You're not, like, doing the stuff that people loved you for in the first place. You're not really, like, holding big corporations accountable, or you're not holding the arbiters of free speech accountable by saying that lying about Bill C-16, or really standing up for young men and boys by promoting ideas that you think are going to help shape them into the future leaders of tomorrow, or teaching people about race and IQ and all this other fucked up racist shit you do. This one is just sad, and both of these have been sad, and the fact that you keep trying to blow this into, like, everyone can see that you're a poster, you're as addicted to this as the rest of us, you wanted to get back into the platform, and then lo and behold, yeah, you deleted the tweet, and you posted it again, and then your account got deleted again, by, again, mass flagging most likely happening at the hands of AI.
pretty darn slow when it comes to, say, responding in any manner whatsoever to the appeal I submitted, objecting to the ban, or at least raising questions about its rationale. Now, those opposed to my views, and indeed the fact of my very existence, might object, and do so frequently and vociferously on your hellhole of a platform. Hey, self-proclaimed evil capitalist and proclaimer of the value of free speech, the CEO of free market Twitter and his propagandistic minions have the right to allow or disallow anyone they choose to post on their privately owned platform. And that is true. You and they, see that care with pronouns, have that right, but have also clearly accepted a commensurate, although more implicit responsibility.
It's so sad.
In principle, at least, Twitter is a platform.
I've never seen anyone go to these lengths to try and justify your Twitter addiction. I mean, we're all addicted, my dude. I get it. Fuck. You're just like, you're more addicted to being a transphobe than you are to posting. Sometimes it goes back and forth. Sometimes like, I need to get back in. All right, fine, I'll delete the tweet, but I need to save face. It's coming back.
That owes its very existence to the habit, tradition, and right of free speech, the very foundation stone of the great country in which you operate, and has as the only possible justification for that existence outside of sheer instrumental greed, its hypothetical contribution to the exchange of views that make up part of philosophical and political discourse, and humor and wit, and indeed, the narcissistic and often near psychopathic commentary that accompanies such exchange, particularly in its
Imagine up at 2 a.m. writing this about your Twitter ban that you did to yourself, like the fucking you're applying the boot to your own face, and just keeps on looping over and over and over.
Electronically mediated form. And I would say that your company does a remarkably and singularly bad job of bearing that responsibility, as your former security lead has just fortuitously pointed out in an interview in Time magazine, which is not exactly a bastion of the conservative or even classic liberal thought that you seem to oppose so randomly, arbitrarily,
right.
Casually, high-handedly, and inappropriately.
By the way, if you look at any actual data or studies or statistics on the bias, the political bias towards different groups by Twitter, it has been showing time and time again that it does not favor the banning or arbitration specifically of right-wingers. In fact, people who lean left to liberal seem to have more censorship applied to them, broadly speaking. But that, again, is just people who try to do studies on the matter.
Peter Zatko, your former security lead, has painted, in the words of that same Time magazine, quote, a damning portrait of a company in crisis. In an 84-page complaint to federal regulatory agencies and the Department of Justice, which was first reported by the Washington Post and CNN, and which Time obtained from a congressional source. He describes Twitter as crippled by rudderless and dishonest leadership, beset by egregious privacy and security flaws, tainted by foreign influence, a danger to national security, and susceptible even to total collapse. That's a lot of flaws, Mr. Agrawal, for someone who also seems to believe that the arbitrary suspension of the truly bad people, such as myself, is a moral necessity to keep the sphere of public discourse pristine. And we might also point out, since we're talking about moral insufficiency, that your recent discussions with Elon Musk didn't fare so well, did they? Since your company seemed utterly unable or unwilling to specify even the percentage of fake bot accounts active on Twitter.
Oh god, this is so boring.
Had I been American. Moral drubbing.
How long would it take to write a video, like a script for a video at 2 a.m. that is 27 minutes long uninterrupted? That is so sad, Jordan. All of this is so sad. Do you not have anyone in your life, your friends, your family who are like able to tell you that this is as sad as it is?
Resentment, very model of a winner, as the man to whom such things as having an entire country stolen out from under him, and got very little credit for it.
Wait, was that
has spent a lifetime advertising himself, and very successfully, as the very model of a winner, as the man to whom such things as having an entire country stolen out from under him simply couldn't happen, as the man whose business acumen and street smarts were such that he could outwit and outfox and charm not only the world's most dangerous and intractable dictators, but his own nearby opponents on the political front in his own...
Holy shit, he's just doing full-on MAGA shit now? I guess it was a matter of time. I guess that stuff was always kind of boiling within, but now, you know, the frog has completely revealed himself.
Country. I do understand, as I said, that many unpalatable and immoral broadsides were launched against Mr. Trump, including his banning from Twitter, Mr. Agrawal, a stain on the political landscape which has not yet been scrubbed.
Dude, what? That happened at the height of a coup. Yeah, I was astonished like it took that long to happen, but that was how long they let it go for. You could certainly make an argument that they let that go on for a much longer time than the people who are on the other side would have tolerated, the censorship, if you will. If Twitter was founded and was like a completely conservative slanted bias, and that was like how it was run, do you think a Joe Biden would have been able to get to the stage of a coup? Like, do you think Joe Biden would have been to the coup stage where he's straight up like, all right, Jack, the election was stolen, all of you, here you go, we love you, keep going, take the country back. Do you think that would have been a thing? No, God no.
And I can understand why he feels uniquely embattled, but I stand by my diagnosis. The Donald went off-brand in a potentially fatal manner when he decided to cast himself as yet another victim. But Mr. Trump also accomplished some singular things, in my estimation. The unwise actors constituting the current Democrat administration. There is plenty of destructive conspiratorial thinking on the right, some of which has turned out to be all too justified. And persecuting those who tend toward that form of conceptualization certainly exacerbates the tendency. But in this area...
Yeah, no. Are you talking about Alex Jones? I don't know. You're being kind of nebulous right now. We're not getting very, like, concrete specifics. But there are certainly people who, yes, should not be allowed to continue to hurt other people by spreading conspiracy theories online. I don't think any of it's justified.
More general concerns about censorship and carelessness. I have, frankly, found it a relief. Psychologists can say anything whatsoever to anyone they choose in any manner whatsoever, and can do so even if they literally do not exist and are lying outright in the most egregious and troublesome fashion imaginable. And I've talked to many wise and informed people about it as well, and they agree and are equally or more concerned. Propriety necessary to continue censoring a former president of the United States, even as a critical election approaches, without knowing at all whether or not you are making even the situation under him that you object to worse instead of better, and have absolutely no reliable data pertaining to that possibility. And finally, 6, that your careless, censorious behavior and enabling of the anonymous Machiavellian narcissists and psychopaths who inhabit the Twitter troll underworld
Back off, oh masters of the universe. God damn, Jordan, this shit is boring as fuck. How do you make something where you're seemingly so serious to be so boring? Do you enjoy the Serfs, but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Juste, we shall spend many a generations building mighty cathedrals in your honor. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your oafish jesters, here to offer you a laugh at any opportunity. To our brave knights of the Round Table, Rachel K., Izzy Solidarity, Victoria Bell, Sebastian Demo, Mark Harmon, Benji Arney, Scary Earth Human, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood, Everything Important, Hegbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Doug Cady, Daniel Sutton, Jenna Tao, Dark Puppy, Quiet One 85, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, Multimondi, Trevbot EXE, Brian Ephraim, Anthropophojack, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Ralph Parler, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Todd Buckingham, and Todd La Jeunesse. We salute our valiant heroes off to fight injustice everywhere.